Can't sell, can't buy, can't move. That is the Kelowna real estate market right now. And it doesn't matter what your situation looks like, whether you're trying to downsize, upsize, right size, get into the market for the first time, or offload an investment property that you're just done with, you're running into the same wall. So, in this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly why this market is stuck, who's caught inside it, and what it's actually going to take to get it moving again. Because the answer might not be what you're expecting. But before I get into the mechanics of this, I want to give you three real examples of what I've seen in the market personally, because I think it puts a face to the problem. I had clients who were empty nesters. Their kids are moved out, they were wandering around a house that was just too big for them, and all they wanted to do was sell and buy something smaller right here in Kelowna. Not leaving the city, not making some dramatic life change, just right sizing. And it took far longer than it should have. Not because there was anything wrong with their home, but because the market around them had just completely stalled. Or I had another client who owned an investment property here and was just simply done with being a landlord. They wanted to sell their second property, simplify their life, and move on. Again, they were staying in Kelowna and it should have been a straightforward situation. But again, they ran into the same friction. And then I've had multiple clients over the last couple of years who have been trying to sell here and relocate out of the province entirely. Following family, retiring somewhere else, or whatever the reason. Some of them waited the better part of 2 years before things came together for them. So those are three completely different situations, three different goals, and the same stuck market creating the same problem for all of them. And that's not a fluke, that's a pattern, and it's worth understanding where that pattern comes from. The core issue is actually pretty simple when you just lay it out. A huge portion of the people who want to move in Kelowna right now already own a home in this market. And because they already own a home, they need to sell before they can buy their next property. They don't have the liquidity to carry two mortgages, so they can't buy first and wait. They have to sell first. So they list their home, they wait for an offer, and while they're waiting, nothing is happening. But here's the thing, why isn't anyone making an offer on their home? Because the buyer who would buy their property is in the exact same position. They own something, they need to sell before they can buy, so they're waiting too. Now, yes, a buyer in this situation could write a subject to sale offer, but if nobody buys their home within the allotted time period, it doesn't solve anything. It just adds a layer of uncertainty to a deal that was probably already fragile. Everyone is sitting there waiting for someone else to go first, and because nobody can go first, nobody moves. The empty nester can't downsize because nobody's buying their family home. The person who would buy that family home can't move up because nobody's buying their townhome or their condo, and the landlord trying to exit an investment property is standing in the same lineup. The whole thing is like a traffic gridlock, and it just feeds itself over and over. So if the people already inside the market are stuck waiting on each other, what breaks the cycle is new participants coming in from the outside. New money, new buyers who don't need to sell something first, people who can just step in and buy. And that's where the second layer of this problem comes in. Kelowna built a significant part of its market on out-of-province buyers, people from Ontario, Alberta money specifically, retirees who sold a paid-off house in Calgary or Edmonton and bought into the Okanagan lifestyle, or remote workers during the pandemic who could live anywhere and work and chose to pick Kelowna. Or there's also equity-rich buyers who sold something in a bigger market like Vancouver and moved here with real purchasing power. That wave has slowed down considerably, and there are a few reasons why. Alberta's economy, for example, has softened, and tariff uncertainty has made people more cautious about making financial moves. The job market also isn't pulling people to Kelowna the way that it once did. And while prices here have come down from the peak, which I'll get to in a minute, Kelowna is still a premium market compared to a lot of places that those buyers could choose instead. So some of them are simply going elsewhere. To give you a sense of where things sit right now, the current benchmark price for a single family home in Kelowna is around 1,056,000. Townhomes are around 671,000 and condos are at 472,000. Those numbers are meaningfully off the peak, which is actually good news for buyers if they're paying attention. But the out of province pipeline that used to drive a lot of activity here has genuinely thinned out. There's also something else worth talking about because I don't think it gets discussed enough. The Indigenous land title claims situation in British Columbia is creating a lot of hesitation for some buyers who are weighing a move here against other provinces. It's a complex legal issue that is pretty specific to BC, and it doesn't affect most real estate transactions directly, but it's a real factor in how some people are making their decisions. And it's steering some of that out of town or out of province interest towards Alberta or Ontario or the prairies instead. When you layer that in with a softer provincial economy, fewer job opportunities drawing people here, and some general skepticism about the provincial government and their direction on housing, that outside buyer pipeline has really slowed down. Now let's talk about new local buyers because this is just as important. First time buyers here in Kelowna are largely sitting on the sidelines right now, and it's happening for two different reasons depending who you talk to. The first group has been waiting for prices to fall even further and genuinely hasn't tracked that affordability has already improved. Prices are down from the peak, interest rates have come down from where they were, and the monthly payment picture looks noticeably different than it did just 2 years ago. And a lot of people just haven't run the numbers lately. The perception of unaffordability is actually lagging what the reality is in the market right now. But the second group wants to buy, but the economy has made it harder. Jobs feel less stable, qualifying feels riskier, and when you're not sure what your income looks like 6 months from now, committing to a mortgage is a tough sell. These buyers aren't being irrational. The environment has genuinely created more barriers for some people that are just trying to get in. But either way, both groups represent exactly the kind of new participants this market needs right now, and neither one is moving. At this point, you might be thinking, well, what about investors? Can't they just step in, especially at the entry level condo price point where things are more affordable? This is actually a really important piece of the puzzle because the answer is no. And the reason why does matter. The short term rental ban in BC fundamentally changed the investment math on condos in Kelowna. A lot of the units that were attractive to buyers, specifically because of their short term rental income potential, they're just no longer viable that way. That revenue stream is gone for most of them, and that alone took a significant chunk of investor demand off the table and out of the market. And on top of that, rents are coming down in Kelowna right now. So, an investor looking at a long term rental strategy on a condo is looking at a cash flow that is really hard to make work right now unless you're bringing a substantial down payment to the table. The monthly numbers just don't pencil out the way they did a few years ago. And in a market where prices aren't showing obvious upward momentum, the appreciation angle isn't compelling enough reason for these people to buy into something that isn't cash flowing either. So the investor who might otherwise have stepped in, bought an entry level unit, and started some movement in the market, they're sitting this out too. And honestly, for them individually, that's probably the rational call right now. But it does remove yet another potential buyer from an equation that is already short on buyers. So, how do we fix this problem? There's one obvious part that I want to talk about because I hear this argument constantly and I think it actually misses the point. A lot of people say that prices just need to crash further for the market to fix itself. And I understand the thinking behind this on the surface cheaper homes means more buyers. But I don't think that solves the problem we're actually dealing with here in Kelowna, and here's why. The people stuck in that lateral move cycle, the empty nester, the landlord trying to exit, the family trying to upsize, they're selling in the down market and buying in a down market. Their relative position doesn't change. If prices drop 20%, their home is worth less, but so is the home that they're trying to buy. A price crash doesn't free them from this cycle. If anything, watching their equity erode makes them less willing to act. But where a price drop genuinely helps is with renters moving into home ownership for the first time. People who don't have a property to sell, who are just trying to get in. And that group does matter, which is actually a lot of the point. Because the thing that actually breaks this cycle is the domino at the bottom falling first. Entry-level homes, condos, that sub $300,000 market. When a first-time buyer steps in and purchases an entry-level condo, the person selling that condo has the proceeds of that sale and they can move up. Maybe they buy a townhome, and then the townhome seller can move up to a smaller single-family home. And then that homeowner can right size or make the move they've been waiting to make. The empty nester finally gets their offer and the chain starts moving. One domino falls and the rest follow. And that's how this market gets unlocked. The inventory at the entry level is there right now. I recently did 2 videos showing properties available in Kelowna under $300,000, and I'll link both of them in the description. The options exist. What this market needs is first-time buyers to realize that the affordability picture has genuinely shifted and step in, and that's the true unlock for this market. Another conversation that comes up around getting the market moving, and it could be the key to another unlock, is the foreign buyer ban. The argument for keeping it is that it protects affordability and it keeps speculation out of the market. But the argument against it, at least right now, is that the market doesn't have a speculation problem. It has a participation problem. And some people think that lifting the ban, or at least revisiting it, could be one way to bring in new capital and get those first dominoes in the market falling. But I want to know what you think. Should the foreign buyer ban stay? Should it go? Is removing it part of the solution here? Or does it create a different set of problems? Drop your opinion in the comments below. I'm genuinely curious where people land on this one. The Kelowna market isn't broken, but it is stuck. And it's stuck for a pretty specific set of reasons. Existing owners are caught in a cycle where nobody can move until someone else moves first. The out-of-province buyers who used to drive a lot of activity here have slowed down. Local first-time buyers are hesitant or struggling to qualify. Investors have been pushed out by the short-term rental ban and falling rents. And without something breaking from the outside, whether that's a policy change, economic recovery, or a wave of first-time buyers stepping in and knocking that first domino over, the market stays exactly where it is. If you found this video helpful, hit the like button and subscribe. It genuinely helps more people in Kelowna find this kind of content, and it helps the channel grow. And if you've got a take on what it's going to take to get this market moving again, I want to hear it. Drop it in the comments down below. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.